So, sweet. First things first, guys, how are you?
Very good, yeah. Always good when we're in Amsterdam.
Always good to hear people enjoy it here. So, before we get into the latest record, I'd like to jump back a little bit. Cool. Do you remember your first meeting between each other?
Yeah, I do actually, yeah.
Was it at your house?
It was at the train station. Yeah,
Okay, I don't know.
but at our house, yeah. But like before we had even done any shows or any touring or anything, there was just the four members. It was just us. It was just me and Danny, West, and our old guitarist, and we kind of just felt like we should obviously get together and hang out a little bit first and kind of just see what's up. And we went to pick Danny up from the train station, and I remember being like, what's up?
What was your first impression?
Kind of quiet, but then again, I was pretty quiet back in the day as well. So, or like when we first met, both pretty quiet. But yeah, both. That's definitely a different story now.
And Danny, for you, what was the context? Were you at that point joining them to play music?
Yeah, his brother messaged me and was like, "Oh, would you be interested in joining this band, Neck Deep?" I was in a band before, just with my friends, like my friends from home. And I'd seen Neck Deep's first single on YouTube and seen how well it had done and everything. I didn't know the backstory, I just knew it was to do with Seb, his brother, and like some people from Wrexham. And I was like, yeah, cool, I'll join. Didn't really think there'd be, much to come of it. I didn't know what was gonna happen. And then yeah, it was a couple of weeks later, I came down to Wrexham and they met them at the train station and went to the house and met everybody. And it went from that to like talking about labels and everything, and it was just like, whoa, like this is real band stuff. Yeah. And then the next time I saw you was when we were practicing for
practicing
tour.
and then went out on tour.
Yeah. It all happened so quickly.
Yeah.
And especially those initial tours and then those initial shows, how important is that for a band to kind of...
Super important, yeah, absolutely. Those early shows that you play are gonna, like, especially for me, they're like some of the first shows that I ever played like with a band. And yeah, definitely formative, but it's also really important as well, just generally, in terms of exposure. I think we were lucky to get on such a good tour for our first tour. We toured with Me vs. Here and with the Punches, who are, two respectable pop punk bands, and for us to have that as our first tour was super helpful. And I think we got to play to a lot of people who had never heard us and people who had been waiting for us to play too. So yeah, I still remember those shows vividly, really. I can picture our first show super well. Yeah.
How did it go?
Well, people singing along at the first ever shows, so that's more than a lot of bands get, So.
And from this period, what is something that you've learned about being in a band, being a musician, and kind of doing it for a living, so to say?
That's such a broad question.
Yeah, there's so much that you can learn.
Just one thing that sticks out.
I think, living with other people and working with other people and working with, especially now with a big crew and stuff, is just how important a group dynamic is, and how important keeping everyone together and keeping everyone happy, how important that is. I think that's key to a successful tour generally, is just that everyone gets on and that everyone's happy, and that and generally when everyone's happy, there's less problems in terms of less just seems to go wrong, so it's good to you got to keep everything chill on a personal level and make sure that each person is happy with what they're doing and how things are going. I think that is probably the most important thing. As soon as that slips, things start to get a little ropey, but...
So you haven't gotten there yet? So no,
I think every band has, but that's how you learn, you have to kind of go through some rough times to then realise what it's like when it's good, and then when you realise when you're going through a time when it's all good, it's makes it even better because
And that's an interesting segue, I suppose, into the record, because that's also about kind of that yin and yang, the good times and the bad times. So Yeah, when did this concept or this idea kind of start to seep into the music?
Just when we were kind of writing, the idea for the name of the record came when we were just like writing the record.
Yeah, it was in LA, wasn't it, in Park La Brea?
Yeah, and I was just like, oh, I think this would be a sick album title over like...
It was going to be...
Where Do We Go When We Go, the record was going to be called, but then it was a bit too wordy and that kind of came together. And I think just what we were going through anyway, it really did sum up what kind of how we were writing and kind of the evolution of the band at the time, you know. And I think as soon as everyone heard The Peace and the Panic, everyone was like, yes, that's what the album should be called, because it does sums up everything we were going through at the time personally within the band. You know, maybe the kind of the slight change in sound, like a little, you know, on certain songs. And yeah, it was a personal year for us as well, and we had been through like some real rough stuff, but also some really positive, amazing stuff. So you know, I think just from Life's Not Out to Get You into The Peace and the Panic, it was like we had learned so much about ourselves and about life and about how, you know, I still stand by Life's Not Out to Get You. I still think that is like, you know, life is what you make it. But there are some things that are unavoidable, they're inescapable, and it's, you know, dealing with those. It's dealing with the peace and the panic and how you kind of fluctuate between the two, which is the most important thing.
Mm-hmm. And is that a process of kind of experience and something that just grows with experience and age, perhaps, or is there were there certain moments that really...
Definitely age, I think.
Yeah.
Considering when we first started, we were what, 17, 18 years old. Yeah. So, and going from that, not really having like full-time jobs and stuff, we were in education, and then going straight into touring and traveling and experiencing all this stuff, like coming straight out of your parents' house, definitely would have had an effect on how we were perceiving everything and how it changes. Like, not everything is always golden 24/7, and there's not always someone there to, you know, guide you through absolutely everything. But at the same time, we've obviously been, you know, super privileged in the fact that we've had loads of help and loads of support with everything we've done. So there are pros and cons to everything. But
yeah, and it's seeing it that way, and you definitely get that growing up. Like you said, I was 17 when we wrote the first Neck Deep song, and 18 when we started touring. And yeah, you know, from 18 to 20 something, you change a lot, you know. I don't think, you know, you don't go through as many like phases as you do when you're a teenager, but your worldview changes massively through that, and just like you just mature a lot in that time. And yeah, absolutely, it's made us see, you know, maybe we were a little naive, we were kind of young, and we were just like, hey, yeah, this is so sick, we're touring the world like in a band, like this is a dream come true. And then, you know, things get a little real after a while. You experience things in your personal life, and you know, maybe you start to see some of the negative effects of touring on relationships and things like that. You know, you miss home, you miss your friends, you miss big events back at home and things like that, and that gets you thinking, you know. So I think, yeah, just with experience comes, you know, more maturity, and I think that, yeah, that definitely comes through in the new record as well.
I find this quite interesting, because like say you might arrive at a certain point where things aren't as you expect it to be. So when you come at that crossroads, what is then the drive that keeps you going?
I think
the shows.
Yeah, it is really, honestly, yeah. Just playing shows and being able to write music and having music as an outlet is like, yeah, I've been saying it a lot recently, but like, music is the best therapy. It is the best medicine for anything, you know. If you're frustrated that day, getting out on stage and, you know, just letting it all out for half an hour or an hour or whatever can completely change your mood. You know, I think that, yeah, just the rush of playing live shows, especially we just got off the back of a UK tour that was insane, and the last two shows, which was Manchester and London, Brixton and the Apollo, two of the biggest shows we've ever played, and that feeling is just, you can't beat that feeling. Right. And it's when you do things like that, or when you just meet a fan who like truly gets it and understands what it is that you're doing and appreciates what you're doing, that again makes it all kind of worth it. And you know, you can be at this crossroads and you can think, just pack it all in. I could have a much simpler life if I wanted to, but something will happen and you'll go, nah, this is what it's all about. This is what I love doing, you know.